Hello, everyone. Welcome to my very first ever live stream. Just bear with me here for 1 second. We're just going to make sure that everything is actually online on YouTube. I'm trying to use Restream for the first time ever, and obviously there is a learning curve there. And also, I am not at home using my usual home setup, so I'm doing this all on an iPad, as one does. But that is okay. We're going to get things rolling here in just a moment, so please bear with us as we get going. All right, here we go. On an iPad. Okay, yeah, so the live cast is working. Oh god, it's going through my phone now. It's making all sorts of sounds. Oh my god, what do we do? All right, so we've got about 5 people tuning in right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever live stream on Joe Man's Land. This stream is in honor of Chuck. Chuck is still out recovering right now, so while we're waiting for him to make that recovery and come back and give us the amazing Chucko rants that we love so much. As much as we can as a community, let's keep it going and let's try to keep the conversations going that he works so hard on. Oh, here's Roy. Hi, Roy. How's it going? And we've also got Jeff from Selective Imagery who had a live cast the other night. Nice to see you both. If anyone is interested in joining the panel, I have just sent a link in the chat. Please click it and I will add you. But why don't we start with some introductions? My name is Joey. I'm the host of Joe Man's Land. I make a lot of content based around gear reviews and things of that nature. It's a ton of fun. Austin, how about you give us a little introduction to yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Joey's friend, Austin. I make a lot of
It's a
photography.
qualification right there.
Yeah, I kind of don't do that much photography, but Joey always pulls me back, so I'm here.
There we go. And why don't we start with the first question that we had on the subject of today's live cast? What got you into photography? What was the thing that made you say, "Man, I got to do that"? For myself, it was something I always had a camera growing up. I never really took it very seriously, and ultimately, I watched The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I know Ben Stiller got me into photography. Just kidding. It wasn't him. Um, it was actually, what's his name, Daniel Day Lewis. In that he plays this like really dangerous photographer in the middle of the mountains in Afghanistan, and he just looks so cool. And I was like, man, I want to be that guy. I'm still not that guy, but it's what got me into shooting. And I thought Nikon was the adventure camera for me, so that's what kind of got me to getting my first Nikon. Austin, how about you?
Yes, selective imagery's right. Joey has something on me. He's got lots of secrets on me. The reason I started was because of Joey. Actually, he got me into photography. He had a Nikon D7100, I think it was, and as soon as I picked it up, I just loved it. He actually bought a gimbal when he was traveling in Malaysia, and he was like, "Check this thing out. Let's shoot some videos." And I was hooked ever since then, and started making my own videos. Started making YouTube videos, and we've been doing street photography together for a long time. So
100%. Oh, and hi, David Stewart. Good to see you in here. Hey, Roy. Good to see you too. And also, we got a good morning here from Ray Powell. Nice to see you all here. And like I said, I have sent a link. I will send it again. If you would like to join the cast, please click that link. I'll let you in. We've got room for 6 people in here. And it's going to be a pretty short live cast if it's just us. So please feel free to join. There's no bad conversation topics. We're just going to kind of ad lib this and have fun with it. As I'm sure you can tell, I'm very ill prepared, but that is okay because work in college, it can work here too. Okay, well, let's go on to the next topic, which I think is kind of a hard one, which is what's your favorite camera brand and why? What's your favorite camera brand and why? Austin.
putting me on the spot.
I
Um,
am. I'm that guy. So for photography, let's start with photography.
for
What's your
photography, yeah,
favorite
because I was
camera?
going to say it's going to be different for video and photography.
100%.
Um, okay, so for photography, I think it's got to be Sony for me. I think it's just if you're talking mirrorless, there's just more lens options. It's more affordable, um, and the autofocus. You can't beat that. Not that I use autofocus, but even using the manual focus lenses on the Sony compared to using it on Canon, or other bodies. I've just liked how it works, and the files are really neutral. Like, the colors aren't really opinionated like Canon or Fuji, so you can really push the edits however you want. It gives you the control, so I like that aspect. If you're looking for a camera that's really gonna have more of a opinion on how things should look, then maybe Fuji or Canon would be better. But that's how I think for Sony. What do you think, Joey?
I think it's totally subjective, right? I think the best camera is the one you have in your hand for sure, right? Like I don't.
True.
For me,
True.
that's Nikon at this point. I think one of the things that a lot of people take for granted is how the camera actually feels in your hand, right? How are you able to hold it and get the photos you're aiming for? Some cameras have less of a bezel in the front for getting your hand in there. If you've got a smaller hand, that's good. If you got bigger hands, having a bigger grip on there built in so you don't have to put a cage on it is great. So for me, it's Nikon. Everyone on this live stream, for the most part, is probably Nikon users as well. For
Yep.
me, it was the price for entry. Right when I first bought my Z6, it was very affordable. I think I paid about 14 or $1,500 Canadian, which
Right.
it is quite affordable for a full frame camera, right? And I was looking for one that was more of a hybrid, right? So I could do photo and video, just to do everything in there. Oh, Rakesh has
Yeah.
joined. Hello, Rakesh. Nice to see you. Hello. Please join the live cast. Guys, if the link isn't working, please let me know. I can share another one. But like I said before, these live casts are fun with just a couple people in there, but it's more fun when there's like six, right? So if you guys would like to join, please, please, please hit that link. I will let you in and we can talk about everything under the sun except politics. We're not getting into politics because in the end of the day, we want this to be a fun experience and not something that leaves people crying.
Can
Anyways,
we talk?
so yeah, no. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Austin.
Can we talk about Nikon's marketing?
No, God, I have to do a Chuck rant then. Yeah, their lack of. Yeah, I think. Why don't we talk a little bit about the Z8? I think that's a camera that a lot of folks in this chat are interested in, and some of them already have it, which is kind of crazy to me because I don't have anything except the Z6. But why don't we talk a little bit about that? What it can do, whether we think the camera drop was successful or not. Austin, what was your as a non-Nikon shooter? What was your perception of the Z8 drop and what that camera can do?
Well, I actually tried out the Z8 in B&H Photo. I went to the main B&H Photo location in New York
Ooh, the
at a
church.
Z8, and I believe it shot 8K, right? And so
Hmm.
I put it on, and it was super smooth. Felt very modern, and I was like, this is just so much power in my hands. That's what I felt. So I was like, do I really need this? I don't know. So even as someone who does a lot of video jobs, I felt like it was overkill, maybe. But maybe that's what you want.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, I think the thing I love about the Z8 is obviously it's got a lot of the features that the Z9 had, right, in terms of the resolution and some of the video outputs, but it's that form factor, right? Taking the Z9, which was, still is a flagship camera, something that can deliver for both photo and video, and just made it a little bit more accessible, both in terms of price and in terms of how it handles in your hand. Right, I know
It,
obviously if you put the
yeah,
extended battery grip on, then it's even bigger than the Z9, right? But I don't think you buy that camera to put the extended battery grip on. If you're going to do that and you're going to be shooting with an extended battery grip, just get the Z9, right?
it was very manageable in the hands. Like it you know, wasn't hard to use. One thing I like about the Nikon cameras is the ergonomics. I have like an old Nikon camera, and even that has great ergonomics. But I think they carried on that philosophy into the newer cameras as well. Like even not using a Nikon, like day to day, I was still able to like navigate the menus and stuff really easily. So I think that's definitely a big selling point for them.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. I think the ergonomics is something that we take for granted until we hold a camera that does feel good in the hands, right? Like I'd say, like Canons. I'm not gonna get super like mean on Canon, but when I hold a Canon, it just doesn't really feel as solid as it does
I
to a
will.
Nikon, right? Like, oh, you will share some secrets.
Well, I've been using the EOS RP, and like I switched from Sony, and I actually preferred the Sony, even though I was using an APS-C Sony, um, and not a full frame. The EOS RP was full frame, but it just felt like there were some features that they didn't let you do, and like you don't have full control. They kind of try to do things for you sometimes, so you know, like you can't do full frame with a like crop lens if it's like a manual lens and stuff like that. It was just kind of like you don't have full control. So
No,
how does it work
100%.
with Nikon then? Like, are you able? Do you feel like you have a lot of control over things? Um, what's that like?
Yeah, I think, I mean, let's get the feedback from folks in the chat. I'd love to get everyone's perspective on that. But the dials on the Nikon are great. The top LED display is really handy. Also, you remember I had a Fuji X-T20 for a while there, and one of the things I loved
Hmm.
was the analog controls, right? And I mean, it's definitely not as analog as that, but you got really great control on there. If you're using a Z mount lens, there's customizable function buttons on the lens itself that you can program the camera, which is super handy. I don't have any of that because I'm old school, but I think in terms of optimizing the camera to work for you, it's one of the most customizable systems, whether you're talking Z6, Z5, or going all the way up to Z9. That's one thing that is extremely consistent through all of them.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess it
folks in
shoots.
the chat, I just hold on one second. I just want to double check one thing, guys in the chat. Please let me know if the link doesn't work. It's still just the two of us, and I've sent the link a couple times. So if the link is not working, please let me know, and um, I will try to troubleshoot. But I think we can have about 6 people in here at once, I believe. I think that's the limit. I'm on the free version. Yeah, invite up to 6 guests. That's what it says. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Let me see. What else did that say? Hold on. I'm learning all sorts of things right now, Austin. This is quite exciting.
Oh, it shoots 8K
Okay.
60 raw. That
Yeah,
is
honestly,
very.
like that's crazy, and the fact there's no crop at all, like that's uh, as a video person, Austin. Like, what do you think of
Mhm.
the Z8's like video features?
It looks very formidable, to be honest. Um, and it's got great autofocus as well. It looks like, I mean, the only thing I'd be concerned with is like the file size. Um, I haven't like played with the codec or anything, so I'm not sure how that would play out. But do you have any raw experience?
Oh, me? Oh, I wish. I mean, I shoot RAW with my like raw photos on my Z6, but I can't shoot raw video on my Z6.
Hmm.
It's got the you have to use a what's it called? DaVinci, not DaVinci, a Ninja, right? Use an external video recorder to get that 10-bit raw output. You can
Yeah,
pay $200 and send it into Nikon, and they'll unlock a 10-bit internal. But the camera's getting to the age now where it's like I don't think I would bother doing that because I'll probably upgrade before before doing that, right? So I
yeah,
think the camera. What I really want the Z6 III to be is the Panasonic S5 2X, right? If they can basically just do that camera, but in a Z6 III, I think that'd be pretty good, right? If they can just do 6K, 10-bit internal, I think that would be pretty good.
yeah. No, it looks pretty great. Like I'm looking at like footage right now, on YouTube of like Z8 footage. It all looks really, really sharp. Really, really sharp. So,
Yeah, no, 100%. I've done a lot of color grading in Nlog, like for photos, and I find that there's a lot of the shadows are really, really great. Like, it really saves a lot. So I
Mm-hmm.
imagine it's probably similar for video, but again, I haven't edited any video in Nlog, so I can't speak to that 100%, right? But I think yeah, it's
It's
pretty
really
good.
pretty, really pretty.
Yeah, 100%. But folks in the chat, thank you so much for coming. We got 12 people in here right now. Rakesh, Ray, Mozban, everyone, David Stewart, you're all going at it. I love it. I'm trying to keep up. Like Chuck, I will probably have some challenges to keeping up with the chat because there's a little bit of latency between YouTube and you seeing me. So sometimes there's a bit of a delay there. But like I said before, there is a link in the chat. Please feel free to join. Currently, it's just Austin and I as your hosts, which is great. He's got lots of great knowledge, but it'd be good to get some more folks in here, some folks from different backgrounds, different part of the world. Maybe that's the other thing we should say. Austin, where are you right now? What part of the world are
I'm
you
in
in?
Colorado. I'm in Colorado, Boulder, Colorado.
Nice. And I am in Calgary, Alberta right now. I was going to go outside and live cast from out there, but there's a really gnarly thunderstorm rolling in, so I'm just staying in my music room, which I know if Hagen was here, he'd appreciate those drums. Can't go wrong with some drums.
I'm looking at the footage of the Nikon, like graded raw footage. You can really push the colors. I'm noticing here. Like you can really get creative. So it seems like it's got a really powerful codec here, and I'm not noticing a lot of artifacts or noise. It's very clean. I sent you a video or a link.
Awesome. I cannot share that from my end because I'm on my iPad. But if you want to share your
Maybe
screen,
I
I
can
can
share it.
actually. Yeah. Are you able to share?
Yeah, I'll put it in the
Oh,
chat. It's in the chat.
oh, excellent. Oh, we got some more people joining in. Let's see here. We got David Stewart. Hi, David. How's it going?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad, Joe. It's nice to see you and Jeff and Roy and Gustavo and Mosman and all the other guys that I know from Chuck's channel. Yeah,
Oh,
exciting.
yeah, no, 100%.
Yep. So, so are you on 10th Avenue?
Usually I am. Right now I'm actually out in the countryside. They're doing some work on my apartment, so I've been staying out at the parental's house for the last couple of weeks there. Me and my fiance, we yeah, decided, you know what, rather than letting in contractors in whenever they want, we thought let's get out of there and go eat all their food.
Why not? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But how about you, David? What part of Calgary are you in?
I'm on. I'm over by the Safeway downtown. Probably
Oh,
about
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm about 2 blocks from there. So
Nice. You're
anyway,
basically right beside the camera store.
no, well, I'm about halfway between the camera store and Cinel and BizTech. So I got a choice of 3 within walking distance.
Yeah,
And
no, 100%.
yeah,
There's a lot of good shops there. Which one do you like the most, David?
I find that the camera store are all talk to make the sale, and I usually go to Cinel because I know everybody there, and they fight over with each other to try to serve me. So I'm happy, you know, and I get a good deal with them. So I'm not complaining, and I know what to expect from them. But just because they don't talk it up, and I found there's a number of different times I went in there, they actually saved me some money. So I can't complain about that. Yeah. And
Yeah, no, 100%.
shout out to Gustavo because he just retired. And
Oh,
in the
Woo! Good job, Gustavo.
let's go.
yeah, so he sent me some holiday photos from when he was down south. So he's going to take up holiday photos now and shoot less birds. So, but I don't mind him shooting birds. He does a pretty good job of that too. And I want to say hello to to Jeff because I didn't phone him today for some reason, or did I? Anyway, but he said he's going to take over from Chuck until Chuck is better. So I don't know if he should have said that, but anyway, it's going to be interesting, and I'm going to try to give him a hand. And probably the rest of us should get in there too. Look, Gustavo was in there also, and so was Mosman. But when we got this
Oh,
stuff,
that's good. That's great. You guys are doing that. Like Chuck works so hard all the time to have us all in here, right? So to have us,
Oh,
to
hello.
have you guys supporting. Hey, Peter, to have you guys supporting that community, like that's really cool. Peter, how are you?
Hello. How's things, Joe and Austin and David?
Very
Good,
good.
good. How about you, Pete?
Good. I'm pretty good. Pretty good. All good here. So it is. Just have a bit of an early morning here in Korea. Yeah, nothing too exciting. Unfortunately, I don't have a long time to spend with you guys this time.
Oh no.
Yeah, sorry.
That's
Don't
okay,
cry.
Peter. Thanks for joining in. So, why don't we start with the subject discussion for today? Austin and I already did ours, but David, Pete, posed a question to you. What made you get into photography? What made you pick up your first camera? David,
Oh,
why don't you go
that's a good
first?
question.
oh, I picked up my first camera back when I was in high school, and we started up a dark room in the physics department. And my first one, I'm not too sure what it was. It was my parents' camera, and I wore that out. My second one was a Patrica. I wore it out. And my third one was a Nikon EL, and I still have it. But I got involved in yearbooks, and the nice thing about that is I didn't have to buy any film, but I learned how to do all the darkroom work, and that was lots of fun. So I don't think I sent anything out for processing or very little. I processed it all myself. But
Wow.
That's awesome.
and I never ran out of film because I always had 50% more film in my pocket than I figured I was going to need whenever I went out. So still kind of the same way. Except for the other day, I was up with my Z9 and I shot 5K frames in half an hour, and I was a bit surprised about that, trying to use auto capture. Well, auto capture worked, just that I didn't have it set up right. But anyway, that was the only time lately that I almost ran out of either film or media.
Yeah, I know it happens when you're shooting in 9K, 8K, or even 4K. Really, your memory card can fill up so fast. But David, thank you so much for sharing. Peter, why did you get in photography? Bleh, it's like I forgot how to speak English. It's hard to believe I used to be an ESL teacher like this guy. What was your first camera, and what made you get into photography in the first place? What was that thing that said, "Man, I need this affliction for the rest of my life, and I'm going to buy way too many 50 mil prime lenses"?
That sounds just like me.
But that is
I
that is
guess
you, Peter.
it's an exact description, Joey. Well, I guess what got me into photography was you guys, actually, Joey and Austin.
Oh,
They were
behave.
taking photos regularly and just really embracing the atmosphere in Korea. And just I thought it was a great way to experience a country. You just walk around, see all these beautiful sights and interesting things. So I was like, okay, I enjoy this. I was using my cell phone to begin with, and I got some great photos, and I was really happy with them. And I was like, okay, I want to improve on this. I'm gonna go out and actually get a camera, my first camera wasn't that good. I think it was like a old Alpha 51 or something like that. So it
Yes,
was
it
really
was.
chunky, and it was
Oh, it
quite
was.
quite terrible by that time standards. So I eventually upgraded to an A6000, which is my web camera now. and then I moved on to like the A7s and stuff like that. So I did a lot of street photography. I really fell in love with like Korea at nighttime. That's where I took most of my photos. But these days, I kind of been helping others with their photography endeavors, and I've been doing like festivals and sort of DJ events and stuff like that. Sort of more busy social events, which have been quite interesting also.
That's awesome. Well, and I think to what you were saying, so just to give folks a bit more context on Pete here, because he's talking a little bit about his first cameras. When he was using his cell phone, the part he leaves out is how he kept trying to peddle to us the fact that the cell phone is better than our cameras. He's like, no, you don't need this big camera and stuff. Then I think to make a point, he paid double the price for this ancient Sony Alpha that like it predated the dinosaurs. Like this thing was brutal. Like I think this was like the first digital camera. Like it was just horrible. He's going around with this thing. He's like, man, I think my cell phone's better. And I'm like, yeah, in this one case, it is better, Pete. But then he ended up switching to a more serious camera after that. And then, yeah, he really, the thing I love about Pete's, yeah, the thing I love about Pete's photography, though, is he does a lot with vintage glass. I think in the last few years, I kind of got away from that myself. But he really leans into the vintage glass a lot of color as well. And Pete,
Yeah.
what's your favorite focal length that you have like 80 of?
Oh, I think that would probably be 50 millimeters, Joey. But I do have other favorites too, but 50 is probably my preferred one.
Yeah, how many 50 mil lens do you have, Pete, that aren't autofocus?
I don't know, 50?
50 for 50. I like that.
I don't know. There's at least 20 something.
Nice. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, great round table to start. Let's switch topics now. I'd like to get everyone's answer to this question. What was the most like stressful street photography instant you've ever had? Like you took a photo with someone, they really didn't want that photo to be taken, and it just didn't pan out the way you were hoping it would.
You me to go first?
I guess I'll start. I got a good one, yeah. So when you're doing street photography, and Austin and Pete can back me up on this for sure, you have to have a certain confidence, right? You have to be not that guy hiding in the shrubs with a telephoto. You need to be confident, take the photo right in front of the person, keep going. But I did not have that confidence. So Austin would be going around with a flash camera, bang, point blank, and he'd go. No issue. I would be posted up with like the longest vintage telephoto lens you could ever see, and a guy from like 100 yards away would just make a beeline for me. How dare you? People are dying. And then he'd come for you, right? Like Greta Thunberg. And I think the worst, like, and it wasn't even a photography incident. The worst time I ever was trying to take a photo was actually with my drone. I was hiking up this mountain and I wanted to get some drone footage and some photos. So I popped the drone up and I'm thinking, all right, I'm not near any government buildings. I'm not near police. I'm not near anything. The government buildings are far away. The military's far away. This is in South Korea. So I'm thinking, this is the safest place to fly. I pop the drone up. It just doesn't feel right. So I bring it right back down, hike up the top of the mountain. Then I see it. The tiniest military installation you've ever seen in your life, perched on top of this mountain. I'm thinking, well, there's no way they saw my 249-gram drone. I should be safe. Wrong. I was totally incorrect. So I'm walking along, and this guy taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around and look, and he looks at me, and he says, are you drone? And this kid was, maybe 18 years old, looks at me and says, are you drone? And I'm thinking, I'm doomed. I am drone. Yes, yo soy drone. So he says, okay, we go now. So then him and about 25 other young Korean men wearing all black fatigues marched me down the mountain. Humvees rolled in with military intelligence officers, and I had to refly my drone in the same path over and over to try to show them what I saw. And finally, one of them comes over and in broken English, and like this was the cool thing. They were really trying to communicate with me, even though obviously they didn't speak English. Comes over and in broken English, he says, "So I guess you're not North Korean." And I said, yes, I am not North Korean. We are good. He's like, okay, well, don't fly here. Here's the smart flying app. Turns out there was an app. That was on me. I should have done my research. But that was, I think, probably the worst case of me trying to get a photo or video. And it was like, totally not Gucci or gang. But let's go to Austin next because he's drinking water and I've caught him off guard.
That's quite the story. I didn't know you got approached for being a North Korean.
I did, you know, it's my haircut and my natty attire. It was bound to happen.
You definitely fit in there in North Korea, Joey.
Oh, 100%.
So, yeah, I guess my version of that is I was on the train one time and I took a picture. It was a really busy subway train. And I took a picture of some lady and she didn't even notice that I took the picture, but some drunk guy noticed and he had a big problem with it. Big, huge problem with it. He starts yelling at me on the train. And everyone's like looking at him like, what are you doing? And then yeah, he just goes off. So I was just like, I'm gonna get off at the next stop. And people are telling him to like stop what you're doing, like what's going on. But he's like super drunk, so he's just he's just gonna go for it. So I just get off at the next stop and then get on the next train. And I'll never know why he was so upset, but he was very upset. So that was the most awkward situation because I'm in the same. It's a very busy train, so I literally can't do anything. He's just just talking at me right there. So yeah, that's my experience.
Okay, thanks for sharing. That's great. Next, let's go to Mr. Stewart, David Stewart. What was the one time you like took a photo and like it just did not pan out for you? You're thinking this is going to be a banger, and that they chased you with the dogs.
Well, I was shooting sunrise shots of the LRT in Calgary, and I was in 7th Avenue, right beside where it switches to go south. No, actually, to go north. And I was set up right beside. There was a building there, and I was wearing a safety vest and all the rest of this stuff. And the guy that came by actually was the person who issues the permits for taking pictures on Calgary Transit property. So it was one of these ways I couldn't. Well, it was pretty hard to talk your way out of not having a permit when you're talking to the guy who issues the permit. So you can't say that, But anyway, I made it out of that, but I was almost to the point of saying, write me up, because he couldn't, because he wasn't a transit cop. He was an engineer. But anyway.
Citizens arrest.
Oh, he can't do it for that. The only thing that, and they could have got me for his trespassing, and when I was on the street. But anyway, that's what happens. So that's my only brush in, and normally when I go out and do stuff like that, because I'm wearing a safety vest and whatever, is security figures. Oh, he belongs here, and away you go.
That's smart, actually. The safety vest. I never thought of the safety vest before, David. That's actually a really good idea. Because downtown Calgary, like you can be just taking a picture of a building, and then some individual of certain. Anyways, sometimes homeless people chase you. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I'm talking about, David. You can be pointing the camera the opposite direction. They're like, "You took a photo of me." You're like, "No, you don't have any pants on. I don't want a photo of that." Believe it or not, that is not on the list. Right? That's not what I want. But yeah. Anyways, Peter.
Oh,
share some secrets.
Honestly, I can't really think of many of my own, but I do remember this one time I was with Austin. It was kind of a little bit rainy and a little bit miserable, and we were in this old part of town, and we were just walking through and taking a few photos, and there was some old shops with old tubes and pipes and stuff like that. It was quite interesting, and some old person seen us taking a photo, and they thought we were taking a photo of them, and they started chasing us for some reason and hassling us. So we tried to move away a little bit quickly and just hope they would stop. But it was obvious after maybe after about a minute that they were not going to stop. So we went into a shop and then called the police. And then the police came and told the man, like, we'll have a look at the photos, blah, blah, blah. If there's anything bad, we'll get them off. But we were completely okay. Actually, they really liked Austin's photos. They thought they were very artistic because they were in black and white. But they were a little bit suspicious of mine because they were in color. So another tip as well that could be maybe slightly useful, black and white. Some people think of it as more artistic and maybe less clear, I guess.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that was probably my worst experience of photography from a people perspective.
No, that's great, Peter. Well, I mean, that's not great that happened to you, but I just mean like that's great that you shared
Well,
with us. I feel like we're almost in like a therapy group right now, guys. Like this is like sharing like collective horror stories. Sorry, Peter, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did.
You're okay. It was like, honestly, nothing bad happened. It was just an experience. Like, so in the end, it was not a nice experience, but nothing bad or serious happened, so it was okay in the end.
Well, it's
no
good,
one got injured.
Yeah, I'm guessing you remember that day, Austin.
I remember that day. I would say that's the worst that can happen to you. If you're ever scared to do street photography, that's probably the worst that could possibly happen. And it's not that bad. The cops show up, and then they say, "Oh well, we can't do anything." So, see ya.
Yeah, pretty much. Write a name in a book. Okay, see ya.
Yeah. It was so funny. He had a post-it note. He's like, "What's your name? Okay. What's your phone number?" I was like, gave him a fake number. All right, and then he'll throw that out later. So
yeah, it's just to make the other people think that he's doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's maybe a good question.
Those guys.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think maybe that's another question I have for you guys is like, depending on where you are, your approach to street photography can change, right? Like people's perception of it is different. Safety is a big thing, right? Vahagen a while ago shared the story about that photographer in San Francisco that got mugged not too long ago, and they pistol whipped in broad daylight. There was hundreds of people around, and they tried to take all his gear, right? So, like, from a safety perspective, when you are taking photos, unless you're using like maybe like an ancient point and shoot, right, with film, most of the gear that we go out with can be worth sometimes thousands of dollars, right? And even if it's insured, you are a walking target at that point. So what I'd be curious to know is, in the places where you guys are respectively, do you feel comfortable doing street photography alone, or do you rock the buddy system where you go out with someone? Why don't we start with David?
I normally go to downtown Calgary by myself, and but it depends if we got anybody with me. But walking around at 2 or 3 in the morning is not a problem. At least I haven't found it a problem anyway. But I walk fairly fast, except for when I'm taking pictures, so the average guy can't keep up. And and if I'm really worried, what I'll do is I'll use the Nikon app that so I can download my pictures to my phone and then put them on the net automatically. So if you're in a place where they don't want you taking pictures, you can engage them in a conversation for a minute or two while they're talking, and by that time, everything is uploaded on the net. So even if you erase them off your camera, you still got copies in places that they don't know about.
Ooh, I like that sneaky hack.
I like that a lot.
Calgary is relatively safe because I'll even go down to the drop-in center and around there. I'll stay a block away, but I'm walk down by the river. Doesn't bother me.
Nice, David.
Yeah.
Nice. Pete, how about you?
What's the question again? It's like
I get it. Because I'm not Chuck, you're not listening. I'm kidding.
No,
The question is, do No, I'm just giving you a hard time, Pete. Do you feel safe doing street photography by yourself, or do you rock the buddy system? And for everyone watching, Pete is in Seoul, South Korea, so definitely a bit different than where David and I are in Canada.
Yeah, honestly, South Korea is very safe. It's probably one of the safest countries you can be in. Like, even if I put my camera on the table and went to the bathroom in a cafe, I'd still feel pretty secure that my camera will be there when I come back, which you can't say for a lot of places, even from where I am from in Ireland. So it's a really secure country, and people generally don't take your stuff. Um, Violence is also something that doesn't really happen over here. Everyone's quite relaxed in general. Um, I, I I don't think there's too many places where I'd be really unsafe in Korea. So yeah, I think walking streets at nighttime, even dark back alleys, no one really cares that much. So yeah, it's pretty okay.
Yeah,
Awesome, great, thanks, Pete. And I'm gonna go next to Austin because I can't imagine a more polar opposite place from Seoul to where you are right now, Austin. Just in terms of like population, anyways.
for sure. I think what selective imagery is saying is pretty true for a lot of places in the U.S. Um, there is definitely a higher risk with a newer camera because they might be, interested in stealing your gear. So if you have an old dinky camera, like a little small point and shoot, they're probably not going to care. Um, so that's a factor. But I would say I just go with my instincts. Like, if I feel like this place might be, semi dangerous, like if I see broken windows or people fighting on the street, I'm not gonna take pictures. I'm gonna mind my own business. So, um, you know, in that case, yeah, you want to be with buddies when you're in a situation like that. But hopefully you can stay around, you know, the more safer areas. So I think that's how I do it.
Totally. Oh, great points, Austin. Well, and I guess yeah. So David and I both live in the same city, and I definitely agree with what you're saying, David. I think there are cities in Canada that you'd be worse off doing photos by yourself. Generally speaking, I usually rock the buddy system anyways. But I think the biggest thing for me since coming back from Seoul is the way I protect myself is just by making sure that if I am running solo and it is later at night, that I'm not bringing everything with me. I'm not carrying a ton of gear. I'm not rocking maybe the tripod, three lenses. I'm just rocking one lens on the camera, high shutter speed, and I just run and gun. Um, Sometimes I might stop for a second and try to mount my camera on, like a lamp post or something like that on Expo. But for me, anyways, I just find that, oh wow, Pete's face looks incredible. I have to share this.
Oh, it's back to
Sorry.
normal. I fixed it.
No, it warped. It was so great. Anyways, yeah. So I just feel like having the smaller kit is definitely the thing that I find is makes me feel comfortable. And I think that's really what it comes down to. You know the place you're in, you know what the challenges are, and you need to do what makes you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable rocking with your full kit 4 a.m. and there's not going to be any issues, go for it, right? But if you have any hesitancy whatsoever, people can read that, right? People perceive that, and your experience will change, right? It's almost like when you see someone performing on stage and they start to feel uncertain about what they're saying or doing, and everyone in the crowd starts feeling it too. It's very similar that way. And, to my earlier point, when I was taking a photo and I didn't feel like I should be taking that photo, automatically people are like, you shouldn't be taking that photo, right? So, you just need to figure out how to feel comfortable, what's going to be safe for you, and how to be able to be in an environment that you can focus on the craft and have fun. right? Because at the end of the day, that's the point of all of this, right? Unless you're being paid for a project. Well, and I mean, even when you're being paid for a project, you want to be enjoying it. But when you're doing street photography, for sure, of all things, you want to make sure you're having a good time with it because, it's a unique art form in itself, right? It's a very special way to take photos, and you could make the argument that it's one of the best ways to learn because the street is your canvas, and what is there one week can be different a following week, right? It's such a unique environment that way. But let's pivot now to another topic. What is your favorite type of photography? What do you like to take photos of? Are
Oh,
you into products? Are
oh,
you into people? Oh, Pete, are you leaving us?
I'm afraid I have to leave you. Sorry, I have another meeting, so I have to join that. Don't cry, don't cry. But hopefully, I can join you again for a later one of these. If it's okay.
No, 100%, Pete. Pete, please, in the chat, can you share your Instagram handle? I'm sure a lot of people would like to check out your photography.
Yeah, yeah. I'll share it now. Let me just go find it. Actually, which one should be best? So yeah.
Yeah, Pete's got multiple accounts. But no, Pete does a
Yeah.
lot of great street photography all across Seoul. Like he says, he does a lot of live music events and things like that. So if you guys are into vintage lenses adapted on mirrorless bodies, he's got some really great content that way. And, special thanks to him for coming on today. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And, really appreciate you sharing your stories. Is there anything you want to
Thank
say
you.
before you sign off?
I haven't got much to say. This has been a really amazing experience. I love talking about photography and just the whole experiences with just around the world. So I can learn and try to adapt when I go to these countries, hopefully in the future. So it's been great. Thank you guys for this experience.
Awesome, Pete. Thanks
Good
so
day.
much for coming, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Bye, Pete. Now that he's gone, we can really start talking about him. What a weirdo. I'm kidding, no. Yeah, Pete, I should give some context actually on where I met Pete. When you first move overseas, depending on where you're going, sometimes you're in a situation where you don't know anyone, right? When I graduated university and moved to Seoul originally, I didn't know a single person there, and I was living in this small suburb of Incheon, which is right beside Seoul, and like it was a nice city, but there wasn't a very large expat community there. So I remember, I think it was like my second or third day, I was moving into my apartment and I had my suitcase with me, and this other guy got on the elevator with his suitcase, and I was like, "Hey, you're not from around here." He's like, "How did you guess?" And I was like, I don't know, man." And that's how we ended up becoming friends. And then Austin I met through a long story, which we can share a little bit later. And then, yeah, the three of us used to do street photography all across Seoul for a good number of years there. So, really happy to have him. But with that in mind, folks, we've got 3 of 6 people on here right now. If you would like on, I know I've sent the link about 13 times. Before I heard anyone, please feel free to join. We'd love to have you. We're going to be going for probably about 10, 15 more minutes, and then we'll wrap things up. So if you want to join, you want to be included on this incredible preliminary panel of Joe Mansland, please come on. It might be a one-time thing. Once Chuck's back, I'm just going to be rating his live stream and ruining it with my horrible anecdotes about things that people don't care about. So this might be a one-time thing for sure. Oh, we got another person joining. We got another person. Who's joining us? I see a video of an outdoor screen door. This is very exciting.
I gotta hop off too.
Austin, no, we're dropping like flies. Okay, Austin, thank you so much for tuning in and helping us out here. Really appreciate it. Are there anything you'd like to share with the listeners or with Chuck?
Not right now. But it was a pleasure to jump on and chat with everyone. So thanks for hosting, Joey, and it's nice to meet you, David. So yeah,
Nice to
have a
meet
good
you
night,
too.
guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Austin. If you guys want to check out Austin's channel, it's Austin in Seoul, all lowercase, no spaces. I'll put it in the description. He's got lots of great reviews of film cameras, street photography. He's going to be going back here to Seoul in pretty short order, so I think we can probably expect some pretty fun street photography videos coming up as well. Yeah, thanks for coming by, Austin.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, see you, buddy. Mr. Roy, how are you today?
Everything working?
Oh, we can hear you
Can you hear
loud
me?
and clear. Oh, we can hear you loud and clear, Roy. How you doing?
I'm good. It's a nice sunny day here for winter. 14C. Not
Very
warm,
nice.
but
And for folks in the chat that might not know where you're calling from today, Roy, where are you based?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia. My
Nice.
coffee's empty too. It's terrible.
That's awesome.
That'll never do,
Nice.
Roy. Yeah. Anyway, it's Roy and we've talked different times on Chuck's channel, but I do have one camera that Roy doesn't have, but he has many that I do not have. So,
I've only got them because I'd never sell them.
well, I'm the same way. I collect because by the time I'm finished with them, I figure they're they're not worthwhile going through the effort, and then I'd have to give up a battery. I have to give up this to go with it, and I don't want to do that. So. But I've been collecting some on the side too. So I've got. I'm not too sure how many I've got on my shelves just sitting there. But I got a whole pile of Nikon equipment. Some are film,
Yep.
but anyway, that's okay.
Nice. Oh, we got Jeffrey joining us. Jeffrey, how are you?
You're backwards, Jeffrey.
No.
Your Nikon begins with a lowercase n.
Yeah. Jeff, can you hear us? Senior Jeff.
It's Mirror Universe Jeff as well.
So, all right, well, we're waiting for Jeff to get his tech figured out there. Roy, why don't you tell us about what got you into collecting every camera ever invented and why you started photography to begin with?
Well, if I'm on,
I'd be
I
using a
don't
camera
know
and a
I'm
new
on,
one would
and
come
I
out. So I get
cannot
the
hear
new one.
anybody.
Yeah, oh, just a second, Roy. Oh, hold on, Roy,
Okay.
just 1 second. Jeff, can you hear us?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't hear anyone talking.
Okay, maybe try exiting and rejoining then, if that works. But I guess you can't hear me anyways.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll give Jeff a couple minutes here. Roy, sorry, we didn't mean to cut you off there, Roy, but go ahead.
I've got so many cameras because I'd be using one, and a new one would come out, and I didn't get around to selling the old one. And that's happened for half a decade or half a century or so. So I've got lots of cameras.
That's awesome.
From
And what
there,
made you get into photography?
in probably the 60s, my uncle gave me a camera.
Well, I may
Oh, of course you still have it.
leave
I love that.
because I can't hear anybody.
That one.
Why, I don't know.
That's awesome. Is that 35 mil?
No, it's 127.
127. That's so cool.
127.
That's awesome.
I haven't
And
got
what's
pictures
your
of
fa-
I think.
Oh yeah, but Roy, you do have a ton of cameras. What's your favorite camera in your collection? Like, not does that be the newest? Just like the one that you just love the most.
I'm still using the Z9. I love collecting the old cameras, but I don't like film. It's too much work. If I had to pick a film camera, probably
Hello.
F3 or F4.
Yeah, we
Maybe
can hear you,
F5.
Jeff.
Yeah, I can't hear it. I can't hear anyone. At all. So I don't know what's going on.
Hold on, Jeff. I'm going to try turning your video on and off. Just 1 sec.
Yeah. Anyway, our conversation's coming over.
Yeah, I hear you guys fine. And I can't write anything in the chat either. Well, I guess I wouldn't be if I'm on the panel, but since I can't hear anyone, I'm gonna leave and just go on back into the chat.
Okay, sounds good, Jeff. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Okay, guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool.
So
Sorry
you
about
too.
that. I think the bandwidth was like dying because we've got so many people from all over the world calling in. This is exciting. But anyways, yeah. So Roy, we're talking about your camera collection and your Z9 being your favorite camera still. So with the Z9 being your favorite, do you see yourself getting a Z8 or do you see yourself staying with the Z9?
Z8.
Never mind, we got one already. So what do you like more, the Z8 or Z9?
Z9. I've had that for about 2 months and I'm still getting used to it.
Oh yeah. Nice. And David, I forgot to ask, did you end up picking up a Z8 or are you still with your Z9?
Time
Oh,
warped.
David, can you hear us?
It works better if I unmute my mic. I've got
There we go.
the 8 and I go back and forth depending on what I'm shooting. It's obviously for auto capture, I've got to use the 9, and if I'm and I use the 8 a lot. So, but I keep going back and forth.
Oh yeah, nice. I feel like I'm so far behind you. I have a Z6. I still have a Z6. I haven't bought a new camera yet. I was chatting with the camera store at one point. We might do a Z8 review on my channel. It's not set in stone yet. There aren't that many demo units right now going across Canada, so it's a little hard to work with an Nikon rep to get it. But maybe we will. I hope so. I really want to do some more reviews on some newer stuff. I did a 7 review with them recently, which was a really fun experience. But I would like to do a bit newer gear on the channel. It's not necessarily something I would buy, but it's something I'd love to get my paws on and take some blurry photos with.
So it means you don't have one of these things. But
Wait,
you notice that it doesn't say Nikon on here.
Oh, what is it? I can't see. It's too pixelated. What does it say, David?
It's got black electrical tape over the camera frame.
Oh, fun. I like that.
And
Oh, I just got a question.
I do that to all my cameras. It's either that or use black fingernail polish. It all depends on the camera. All my Olympus cameras have fingernail polish, and my Nikons are half one way and half the other. My 850, it's got fingernail polish, and I'm using it as a webcam. So the autofocus is NFG. That stands for no good.
Nice. That's awesome. Oh, I just got a question from us man there. Yes, that is a drum kit in the background. I can just go like that. Yes, this is my father's drum kit. My guitar amps are over here, and then he's a drummer, so it's always fun coming over to see Pops because we do jam out every time. But yeah, well, I think that's the thing that like I'm obviously like I'm using FTZ adapted glass and like I'm waiting for a Z6 III. That's kind of the conundrum I'm in here because like I would like to get a new camera in the next year. I would say like I'd like to upgrade from my Z6, and I really want the Z6 III to be that camera. But like if something does come out this year, I don't know if I'm gonna stay with it because I would really like the S5 IIX but a Z6 with that, like that's really what I want. But there's no like the lens selection isn't great on L mount compared to Nikon, so that's the only thing you're losing. But I'm only using F mount glass anyways, so it's not like I'm losing all my Z glass if I go over. Yeah, well, so I saw an adapter that you could use to like manually focus Nikon glass on the S5 II X, but I haven't seen one yet that autofocuses the F mount. That's what I'd love to do is get an S5 IIX, but mount my F mount glass and have it auto. So if you're watching this video and you know one of those, please comment below, because that would be kind of the ultimate combination: is get the S5 IIX and then mount all my Nikon glass on it. But I mean, I'm complaining, and eventually there will be a Z6 III, and I'll look like an idiot. But it's not here yet. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think Nikon's next release is going to be, camera
I think it
wise?
is a Z6 III. I think it'll be the 3. I don't see what else they'd release. I think the Z7's not in a rush. And I've heard that Nikon are working on a full frame FC, but I think that's a very small job, small team.
Totally. David, how about you? What do you think's coming next from Nikon?
Well, Jeff and I had a actually Chuck and I had a long discussion on this. I figure it takes 5 years from the time that they first start designing a camera until they have it manufactured. So whatever it is, it's been in the works for that long. If the way the cameras work, they can change the sensor to a certain extent and just change the number. But if they change the processor, it won't be a Z6 III. It'll be something else. And but if they go to a much bigger sensor, and it won't be a 6. But I think there's still a need for a camera around 24 megapixels.
I do
But
too.
Nikon says that they're not going to have any more 24 megapixel cameras. So I don't know. And it really doesn't bother me, because I think I'm all cameraed out for at least another couple of years. But when the Z9 Mark III comes out, I may have a look for it or at it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, the Z9 and the Z8, like, they're both such powerhouses, right? Like, I wish I could validate to myself that that camera was right for me. Like, it's just for my use case, like, I'm just not there yet with my skill level or with my clients, right? Because I work in marketing, so like my camera is just part of my work. It's not like the main point of what I do, right? So the Z8 and Z9 are both excellent cameras. I
If I
wish,
was still
I
working,
wish
I
in
would
my
have got
heart of hearts.
I would have got 2 Z9s if I was still working, but I just like a bit of variety, so I've got a Z8 instead.
That's awesome. My drone is my variety, I guess. Like, that's the only thing I have that's kind of a different perspective, and I mean, I love it. But yeah, I think that's kind of the next step for me is figuring out, like, if a Z3 doesn't come out, maybe I switch to a Z, maybe not a Z anymore. Maybe I switch to a Panasonic, just because value-wise, I think it would be hard. You'd be hard pressed to find a camera better priced right
For
now
video, it'd be
with.
brilliant.
Yeah, especially for video, exactly. And I mean, the photos are decent. Like, I'd say probably my C6 better is still better for photos than the S5 IIX. But I would be interesting if I think the thing I really like to see is what the autofocus is like compared from the Z6 to the S5 IIX, because they did just introduce phase detect for the first time for them, and I wonder if it's almost as good, or better.
Well,
Well,
for me, depending on what I'm shooting, I still go back to manual focus. And even with my 8 and 9, it all depends. That there's such a learning curve to get the 8 and 9 autofocus set up, and most people don't want to spend the time to get it right. And then they just say, "Oh, this is NFG." It doesn't work, but it works. Is you got to set it up properly. And I think one is the 8 and 9 are just too much camera for 3/4 of the population.
agreed.
But when you have a Ferrari, you just don't go to the corner store and buy a Ferrari and drive off. You take lessons. When you buy a cabin trailer, you take lessons. And all the rest of this other stuff, you take lessons, you know. And usually for all of this, especially if you have a Ferrari, you know your mechanic's name, you know, and he knows you because you're in there seeing him. Because I had a friend of mine that was a high-end mechanic, and 15, 20 years ago, these guys were didn't mind 5K for a small repair bill, and this is not damage. This is maintenance, you know. And you got to be prepared for all of that stuff because it's normal. And the other day I had to clean oil off my Z9 sensor. You know how the oil got there, I don't know, but there was oil there.
Oh,
Yeah.
haven't seen that yet.
Well,
Straight to
you know.
the D600.
Well, yeah, it's when I bought the 600, it's I got the cleaning kit for it because that was one of the ones that I bought at the camera store, and they said, "Oh, we'll keep on cleaning this for you." I had a rental, and the weekend that I had the rental, I was in 3 times getting it cleaned, you know. But I ended up buying my own, but I clean it myself. And I've been doing that, you know, for that long. And the way that I look at it, if you're going to get something like this, you better be prepared to either to pay for the maintenance or learn how to do the maintenance yourself, because this is high-end gear. It requires maintenance. It requires cleanup. And we've got lightning here now, Joey.
Yes, we do. Yeah, I just heard that too. Yeah. Yeah, well, I think what you're saying about that, David, it's a really good point. There's a lot of workarounds with more affordable gear that people will try because the gear is cheaper, right? So it's like, all right, we're not going to spend X amount for the upkeep and do that. And I actually had an experience with that a couple days ago. I was getting ready to go out to shoot a video of my buddy. He's a Paralympic athlete on the Canadian cycling team, and I wanted to do a video of him riding, shooting with my Nikon and shooting with my drone. And I chipped one of my rotors, flying like an idiot a week before. So I ordered generic props off Amazon. I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be fine. They had a 4 out of 5, a couple hundred reviews, should be okay. Got them on there, and the whole thing started keeling to one side. And I'm thinking, this doesn't look good. And then I took it to the drone shop down in Deerfoot Meadows, and like the guy was like, yeah, these are crap. And it was actually cheaper for me to get him to replace the rotors than it was for me to do it myself. So I think that's the thing as well, is even with more prosumer beginner gear, sometimes it's just worth splurging a little bit extra just to get the right parts and the right set of eyes on it, because
That's
even
hassle.
if it is yeah, well, because then it's going to work and you're not ruining the piece of gear that you have, right? I've definitely done that a number of times myself, and I always have to remind myself that I know nothing. And that's okay. I don't need to know. There's a whole group of people that are experts on this stuff, and it's good to lean on people that are experts, right? I mean, I don't change my own brake pads. I wish I knew how, but I don't. If I did that, I
I
probably
do.
wouldn't be here right now. I'd be in a
I'm cheap though.
yeah. But that skill set I don't have. I'll have to take my car to Australia and get Roy to change my brake pads next time. And I think the first time I heard nothing said to me, I was doing street photography beside this palace, and there was a huge line of Korean teenagers holding these cardboard cutouts outside of this coffee shop, and I was thinking, man, like, is it BTS? Like, it looked like there was some singer in there, and so I wanted to know. So I assumed, of course, that the person I was going to ask the question to didn't speak English, right? I think when you're in a non-English speaking country, it's always good to assume that, English might not be the language you're greeted with. So I walked up to this gal. She was maybe about 15 years old. And I just said, Boya BTS, which I'm sure was completely wrong in Korean. Basically just meant like, is that BTS? And in perfect English, she swings around with this cardboard cutout and she says, no, it's got 7. You, no, nothing. And I looked at her and I was like, you've given me the motto for the rest of my life. Now, whenever my fiance or anyone around me is like, oh, that's wrong, I'm like, I know nothing. Right? It made life easier, just the ignorance that came with I know nothing. So whenever it comes to fixing my cameras, I just think of that moment. I'm like, okay, this is easy. This gave me a solution I can live with.
Well, I deal with an awful lot of engineers. and especially the ones that come just out of school, and technologists are the same way. And the sooner that they figure out that they know nothing, the better that they're going to be, because then they keep on learning. And we got to keep on learning as much as possible. And like I used to live in the north, and we get all of this stuff that'll break down. And so what I always used to do is, and this is back in the 70s, is do an estimate how much it would cost me to fix it and how much it would cost to get somebody else to fix it. And if the difference in labor would pay for my tools by a bunch over, I would do it myself. And that's how I learned. There's one day or actually it took, it was a really long day. I had a Datsun B210, and I replaced the clutch plate at minus 40 out in an unheated garage. But I learned an awful lot then. But the nice thing about it was being Japanese, you only needed a 10, 12, and a 14 millimeter wrench. And that fit everything. Well, you may need sockets, whatever.
German cars are like that too.
Oh,
You only need one or two spanners.
And I just hate North American cars because you need a complete set of metric plus a complete set of imperial, which is more than 4 times the tools. And they're no better. That being said, I drive a Chev. So I need both sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I drive this like really ancient Subaru, and like I love it because it just won't stop running. But I was at the mechanics. Buddy of mine takes his car there. Their logo is this beautiful Mercedes AMG, and I'm rolling up with this dented up old Subaru. And the guy looked at my car and he's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I'm like, "The brake pads sound like Skrillex, and I'm tired of bringing it back. Let's get it done." So he goes through and gives me a quote. He's like, "All right, it's gonna be X amount for the pads, X amount for all these things." And then he says the oil change is gonna be 150. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, no, I'm not paying $150 for an oil change. I'll go to the Great Canadian Oil Change off Bow Trail with my $6 coupon and sit there for an hour and a half. So I ended up doing that, and I got through to the front, and he's looking at my oil, and he's looking at the fluid levels, and he says, "Oh, I think there's a hole in your oil tank." I mean, I'm like, "Yeah, this car's got over 200,000 kilometers. Of course, there's a hole." He's like, "Yeah, but there's a lot of fluid missing." And I said, "Yeah, you said that last year." He was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, no, it just keeps running, right?" And I think that's the thing sometimes with some of our gear is stuff gets worn out, things get beaten up, but a lot of cameras, especially Nikon cameras, just keep running. My Z6 I bought used off eBay, and it has done nothing but run and be a workhorse. And I don't know if you can say that about all cameras, right? I'm sure there are lots of other ones that are well built.
That's the first one I bought in 75 or 76, somewhere around there. Nikon FM, that still works fine. Oh, even the meter works.
Yeah.
All works. Very rugged camera.
Nice.
So I like
Oh,
them.
and Jeff
They
and
work.
Leslie, thanks for offering to come by. Enjoy your cigar. But yeah, no, what you're saying, right? Totally, yeah. Like, especially the old mechanical SLRs, I imagine like they're built like tanks.
I'm surprised because in the older cameras, it's mostly the electronics that fail, not the mechanics. And they're just such a work of art, the mechanics to them.
Yeah, no, a lot of ingenuity goes into these cameras.
Yeah. I find with my DSLRs, I'll take them outside when it's cold. It's got to be in the 30s or colder at that centigrade. And I'll take them out and I'll run them until they're almost frozen. Then I'll just take them inside, warm them up, and send them back out again. And what I find
in your pocket.
that my batteries are, most people, their batteries last longer than they do. Because if you go out with with a fresh battery. It'll last quite a while. But I've got coats for my cameras that I put on them, and that's so that they don't cool off as fast. I won't put a heater on, but I'll put a coat, and that'll give me an extra 20 minutes or a half hour. So that's usually lots of time, and it's but I'll also use the intervalometer an awful lot, and all of my Olympus and Nikons have a built-in intervalometer, and it's great because you set up your camera on the tripod, you have it shoot away at when the temperature is kind of cool, like around here, 35 and colder, and it just shoots away, and I just park close by in my truck, which is nice and warm, and I watch it. And when the camera starts to act up, or every 15, 20 minutes, I'll go out and I'll listen to it. But I just don't know about well, it hasn't been cold enough with my 8 yet, and it's the same with my 9. It's this global warming is not giving me a torture test for the camera. You know, it's like I like to shoot sunrises over the downtown Calgary with the steam coming off the buildings, and the temperature has got to be colder than -30. And it didn't happen last winter, and it only happened once the winter before. Whereas when I moved to Calgary first in '76, it was -40 5 times, and that's without counting the wind chill, because wind chill is not what makes the steam come off the buildings. It's the absolute temperature. But anyway, but that's how I am. So, but I don't mind the cold because I can dress for it. I used to work outside as a surveyor, and I'd be outside for 12 hours straight, and we wouldn't even light a fire for lunch. We would just do that. And this is when
For
the
sure.
temperature is cool. Yeah.
We don't have cold much here. It doesn't drop below 10 C very often. That's about 50, 60 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, but saying that, Roy, I spent a couple months in Australia when I was in my youth, and I was very impressed at how bad the driving got the minute there was like any rain. Like there was like an inch of rain. It's like everyone forgot how to drive, and I was like, man, don't come forget it, because like the roads are black ice, and like you never really know what you're gonna be
I
faced
don't
with.
think
But just to Jeff, oh yeah, okay. But just to Jeff and Leslie's point, if anyone has heard from Chuck, please mention it in the chat. We're gonna be going for just a couple more minutes here, but the whole point of this live cast is, and I'm not going to be starting a lot of live casts, right? It's not really my type of content. I love being on them, but organizing and hosting, it's a lot, right? It's a lot, and Chuck really does a lot for all of us. I think every single person that's in this live stream right now is here because of Chuck, right? And I think that's pretty incredible that a channel like mine that has never done a live cast before can have anyone come to a live cast first time, right? And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's all because of Chuck, right? So, I really, if he's watching, I hope you're feeling better soon, man. We all miss you a ton, and if not, and you guys can give Chuck some love in the AP Studios chat, please do so. I know that him and his wife really appreciate that, and he does a lot for this community, and I think since he's been out of commission for the last little bit, it's really it's one of those things you kind of take for granted because he's there all the time, like 2 times a week. And then when it's not there, you're like, man, there's kind of like this gap in my week gone. Like, what am I supposed to? Who am I supposed to talk to about camera gear? My fiance doesn't want to listen to me talk about Nikon. She doesn't care, right? So it's you kind of just get into this strange spot. But folks, before we wrap up, do you guys have any topics you want to cover or anything you want to share with the group?
Well, I know a little bit about how Chuck is doing, and he's on the road to recovery, and it's I'd like him to recover fast, except I don't think it's going to happen. So that's just my personal opinion. But there are a number of us that are talking to the family on a regular basis to know what's going on. And Jeff is doing a really good job. Well, he's not here right now. He's gone out walking the dog, but of taking over Chuck's spot. And he didn't quite make it to the 5 hours, but he's getting
Tried.
there. Yeah, well, by the time they had the pre-show with Roy and myself,
Mm.
and he hit the 5 hours,
He
And-
tried.
Oh yeah, he tried. He's doing good, and it's not easy because
No.
I just like Chuck is. He could look at the chat that everybody else sees. He was looking at the internal chat. He's knowing what's going on. He was checking his email. He was adding people, and he's doing all of these things at the same time. And then when the conversation started to slow down, he would come up with a rant, and he would just keep on going. And he's going to be extremely hard to replace. I don't think anybody's ever going to replace
You're
him.
not replacing him.
No,
YouTube's
No.
not the same without him.
no.
No, it's not. It sucks without him. I'm bored. Like I
Boring.
half the thing I come onto is just to listen to him talk. Like I'll be up like my desk working, and I'll just be listening. It's like just something I listen to, right? And you know, anything we can do to hold down the fort while he's recovering, we all need to do for sure. But it's just not the same, right? And
The community is created as well, more than anything.
oh, it's huge. Yeah, I mean, like, look at this. Like, we're all in different. Well, Dave and I are in the same place, but like, everyone that's in the community is so unique in terms of like their relationship with their camera, where they are in the world, and that's pretty incredible how global that is, right? And that's not, and also how positive everyone is as well. I think that that's something that not many photography forums have, is a
They're
lot of
very spiteful
positivity.
and vindictive, most of them.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, and it's all very much us versus them. Like that's very much the mentality with a lot of gearheads, and we're all gearheads here, right? But I think that his channel and his community is more based around the actual photography itself and the act of doing it and bringing people together with that. And his photo reviews are fun. His rants about Nikon are fun. Like there's just so much, but well, folks, I think we'll probably wrap this one here. Thank you all so much for jumping in today with me. Special thanks to Roy as well as to David Stewart for being a part of this. I really appreciate you guys coming on and bearing with me as I blunder through trying to do my best Chuck impression. Not at all close to what he's doing, but you guys
There's some
are
editing
wanting.
stumbled on the channel.
Yeah, well, actually, I was just gonna say, AP Studios. Go on over, check it out. There's lots of live streams he's on there that he's done in the past. If you're wondering what that's all about, go there, subscribe, listen to his live streams. He will be back eventually, and there's a lot of great content there that's already been done that he's worked really hard on. So you guys can go over and check that out. And yeah, if you're new to my channel and you're wondering what I do, not usually live streams. It's usually gear reviews. I'm usually more focused on scene photography, landscape, a bit of everything, right? A lot of drone flying. Some of my videos completely tank, but it's okay, right? At the end of the day, it's fun, and it's these live streams keep me motivated, right? So not my live stream. My live stream doesn't motivate me at all, but Chuck's live stream keeps me motivated. So yeah, is there any closing thoughts you guys would like to share?
Well, if anybody wants to get a hold of Chuck, from what I understand, the family is checking his AP Studio email address. It may take them a while to get back to you, but this is what I understand. It's
Good to hear.
there's others of us that can get in faster, but that's always the way. And I'm not saying who they are, but you can probably guess. But anyway,
He'd have to be a very sick Chuck to miss his streams, wouldn't he?
oh, that extremely, and like it's but like it's going to take him a while, And from what I understand, he has the best of care at the moment.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, and but and he's recovering, and from what I understand, he's improving a little bit every day. But it's going to take a bunch of time, and and the problem is once you get to my age, and I think Roy to a certain extent, is you really got to watch your health. You really got to watch your diet, because all it takes, well, actually, these things they compound, you know, and life is short.
And then you die.
Oh yeah, and then that's it, and like Joey, you got lots of time left, but really watch your diet, get out and exercise. And I think part of Chuck's problem, just as a guess, he was burning the candle at both ends. He was watching everybody's videos, he was doing all of these live streams, and he was doing all the preparation for that. And he just wasn't getting out and shooting. You know, he got to
That's
get
very
out and
hard.
shoot. Yeah, I know, but you got to make time for photography. You got to get out
Yeah.
and do that. Look after yourself, because nobody else is going to.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you only have as much time as you're going to have, right? So you got to make every moment count, and if whether it's doing photography or doing something else that you love, that's the important thing. And I know Chuck puts a lot of energy and passion into his live streams, and it really comes across in the content he puts out, right? I don't think every content creator it comes across that genuine, but he is definitely a good example of someone that does. And Tim, thank you for sorry, my of course my very annoying handle at the end. Don't do it for the views, do it for yourself. Yes, 100%. Always do that. The minute you start doing it for the views, you're not going to get any views anymore. I mean, I did one on like how to edit on an iPad. I think it has like 60 views. I don't care. In me making that video, I learned how to not edit on my iPad, so it works out, right? So, for anyone that's watching that's wanting to get into YouTubing or live streaming, do it for the love, do it for the passion. Don't do it for anyone else. Just keep going and be consistent, right? And if a video you think is badass gets 10 views, and then the one that you think is crap does 10,000, don't let that get to you, because it happens all the time, right? I think as content creators, we put a lot out there that we think, oh, this is going to be the one that resonates with people, and then like two people watch it, and some guy says like, oh, why aren't you doing this instead, right? And then a video that you maybe did ages ago that you thought, all right, like whatever, might do really well. So take the wins and the L's when you can, and don't let the views dictate the type of content you make. Make what you want to make. If people love it, great. If not, you still got a dope hobby and you're still having a good time. And I know for Chuck, that's why he is being so successful. Was when he created this community. He said, I just want a place to talk to people and share stories about photography and have a good time. And enough people that resonated with are here right now, right? So, thank you all so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Like David said, if you want to send Chuck's family an email, just send it over to the AP Studios email. Like you said, there's no guarantee that they're going to get it right away, but I know Chuck appreciates all the support. So does his family. And, stay tuned for Jeff's channel. There'll be some live casts coming up there over at Select Imaging. So if you guys want to stay on and keep on chatting, go there. I promise it'll be longer than an hour and a half. I'm a wimp. I have to pee. So, that's kind of why I capped it an hour and a half. I drank some lemonade beforehand, and I was like, all right, hour and a half, that's my cutoff. But thank you all again. Have a great day, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.